Screen time salutations to all you internet dwellers out there, and welcome to another episode of Screen Time Continuum. I am Nick, and I'm joined as always with Keelan. What is going on, man? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you, man. How was your
Yes, indeed.
day?
It was scruffy like my beard, but in a good way.
You and me
Um,
both.
no, yeah, definitely enjoyable. It's really interesting as you get older and you have these days, is Easter considered a holiday, a holy day?
Mhm.
Um, these days on the calendar, right? Like these special days. Sometimes, some years they seem way more overstanding, and other years they just seem like a Wednesday. This
Yeah.
year, Easter seems like a Wednesday, but not in a bad way. It was very chill.
Yeah, I think low key is going to be the theme for 2022 for sure.
Hopefully, not on this timeline. Please.
Yeah. But yeah, I hope that everybody out there is having a wonderful Sunday. Whatever day you're listening to this, we very much appreciate you listening out there. We are going to be talking tonight about a new movie that just came out onto Netflix, without much fanfare, without much advertising. Something I just kind of scrolled, because anytime we have to choose movies, I have to kind of like, I know Keelan does the same thing. It's like we scroll through the entire catalog of Netflix and HBO and maybe find like one movie that
Right,
interests us. And
right. Try to find the one we missed somehow last week.
right, yeah. And so this one piqued my interest primarily because it was an hour and 36 minutes long. And I said, that's perfect. Because if I'm going to take a gamble on a movie, I don't want it to be 2 hours long.
Hey, it was a good pocket to find. When I saw the running time, I immediately thought to myself, I watch a lot of documentary style shows, or just, I guess you could say, long-ended shows. Shows are averaging 47, 56 minutes. So I immediately thought to myself, like, I watched two of those, and that's longer than this movie, and I'll watch those with no hesitation. So let's get this over with.
Right. Yeah. And so yeah, this one was what we came across. I saw Jason Segel in it, and I was like, I haven't seen him in a minute.
Hmm.
And it looked like a pretty interesting sort of small flick. And of course, tonight we're talking about Windfall that just came out. What was the release date here?
March 18th.
Oh yeah, March 18th this year, 2022. So it just recently came out, and it is about a man who breaks into a tech billionaire's empty vacation home. But things go sideways when the arrogant mogul and his wife arrive for a last-minute getaway. And I think that synopsis is pretty fair and explicit enough for you to understand what's going on in this movie because it's very small. And purposely so, because this movie was specifically shot during COVID. So they needed to shoot something that was going to be small in scope, and sort of intimate. So therefore, in this movie, you only have 4 actors.
Right.
That
Technically three.
technically 3, but we have Jason Segel who plays nobody. Lily Collins plays the wife. Jesse Plemons plays the CEO, and then we have Omar Leyva, who's the
The gardener.
gardener.
I forgot
Yeah.
the gardener. So technically we have 5 characters because the house is definitely a character.
Oh, sure. Yeah, the whole area is kind of a character itself too.
Mhm.
But yeah, so this kind of makes for a very intimate movie, something that can get kind of artsy. And I think they definitely hit that uh, off the bat for me, anyways.
Mhm.
But before I get into my first impressions, I'd like to get Keelan's first impressions. So, Keelan, what did you think about Windfall?
I enjoyed Windfall. I agree. Very artsy from the very beginning, from the first second, the first drop of a note of music, the first picture on screen, the first motion of the camera. I mean, what the first, I'd say 2.5 minutes, maybe a little longer, was simply a panning of the
The house
yes, that's not the word. Estate. That's the word I was looking for.
estate.
Estate.
Yeah.
And I want to use the word estate specifically because it is the entire location for the movie. So We don't have just one room, but we have just one location, one estate. And I think from the beginning of the movie, that is very evident. Like, oh, you're not leaving here. Like
Mhm.
once you started watching this from the beginning, it showed that you were stuck there. So, first impressions, I loved the art aspect, as you said, as well as I think this is just a running theme for me lately. The cast, like the way this was put together, this cast was made, in my opinion, genuinely perfectly for this particular movie. But of course, doing a little research, there I go, early into the game, right?
Mhm.
Um, but of course, within this particular movie, doing research, we discovered that until they found the location, the movie wasn't even really written. So all of that entailed, I enjoyed it. It was executed well. Um, I can't wait to get into some of those details. I'll just say
Mm.
that because other than that, I'm going to be doing it right here in my first impression. So, first impressions, I enjoyed it. I plan on watching this again.
Mm. Cool. Yeah, I would say first impressions for me were quite positive. I thought that I was going to end up hating it. There are some things I don't like, but overall, I love the music. It's incredible. And what's great about it too is they're all woodwind instruments,
Mhm.
which gives the windfall sort of a meaning because all of the instruments in this movie are wind instruments. So
Mhm.
very Looney Tunes almost, like with a
Mhm.
lot of like fast pace,
Okay.
orchestral, sort of
I
music
see.
and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I definitely love the music. I love the shots, the way I think it's filmed in 35 millimeter, but I don't know. But at least it looks like it is.
It could
Um,
be, yeah.
yeah.
It's actually interesting you say that because I can't corroborate whether or not it was or was not, simply because earlier in the week we were having that discussion about 35 millimeter, blah blah
Right.
blah, and I kind of went on this tirade about 35 millimeter shot films. I didn't see this come up, but because of that, I can't guarantee if I saw it while I was researching something else or if I saw it while I was looking up this. I
Mm.
wish we had that answer though, because that would be very cool. I'm gonna see if I could find that while we talk a little bit.
I don't think it is. It might just be sort of like the filters they used for the cinematography, but
Hmm.
it reminded me, especially the establishing shots, reminded me a lot of The Godfather.
Nice.
Like
Yeah.
very like yeah, the same sort of palettes and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I love the music. The story is a little bit hit and miss in some aspects, but I thought the actors did a very good job. I think the end falls apart, but those are my first impressions. Um, so I think we could probably dive into some detail as to what we liked, what we want to talk about first. Keelan, you want to?
Definitely, definitely. So, again, I like that we open with surveying the property, and I like how much the property was just really. It was an established part of everything that was going on. And at first, I thought I was actually just tripping. I was like, "Am I falling in love with this property? Just is it me?"
Mm,
But as the movie went on, and of course, reading a little more about the layout and how this movie came to be, to find out that all of that was intentional. Ah, there is a beauty in just finding out how much somebody loves what they do and you getting to enjoy it as much as them.
hmm yeah, a lot of long, lingering shots. I mean, I think the first
Mhm.
shot we get right is I think the first shot we get lingers for a good 30 seconds to a
A
minute.
few, yeah,
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 before it pans out to the backyard in the orchard. Um, Again, with this really like it kind of almost reminds me of There Will Be Blood as well. The music, um, just very like manic sort of orchestral music going on, which really sets the tone. I really like that the first few minutes there was no talking either. You're just kind of following nobody
thief, yeah,
around, you know, and seeing what he's kind of doing. I love when a movie will tell you the story by just showing you it.
right. And I have to say, Jason Segel pulled a Jason Sudeikis in this one,
Mm,
where in this entire movie he had plenty of opportunity to just be goofy, and in my opinion, that would kind of poison the character. But rather than take those hints and those notes, he would choose those darker sides, like the
mhm,
darker responses, the darker reactions. But at the same time, not making himself the evil character, just remaining ominous, just ominous enough to where it's like if you've seen him in anything, you're impressed because you're like, wow, you're really staying mild in this. And um, I think it's really cool to find out that you can enjoy someone's work to the point of which you're not anticipating what they're going to do, you're just enjoying what they lay out there for you.
mm,
And it takes a while to get there, unfortunately, with certain people and certain acts, but it's nice to be able to get there with some people and reflect on that. And in this yeah, from standing walking around the little yard to going down through the orchard and peeling the orange, just that moment alone gave me all I needed about that character.
mhm. Yeah, and again, just another testament to how if you're good at directing a film, you can tell a story without any dialogue whatsoever,
Absolutely.
which really kind of helps because yeah, that first few minutes of this movie, you're only just really watching Jason Segel's character, who's technically listed as nobody. So if I say nobody, that's who I mean. But you're following nobody around, like like and doing the little things like wiping the door handle down. It just gives you the information that, oh, this guy's not supposed to be here.
Hmm.
And even just by him traipsing and being around, he already seems like he's out of place. Like you
Hmm.
can tell that he's not supposed to be there. So what I want to say before we get any further too is that I'm really glad that this type of movie came out, because I think that this if we have a rebirth of these types of movies, I think that cinema is going to do a lot better.
I agree.
And because I think we've been so oversaturated with this constant need for blockbusters, seeing this little small sort of intimate movie that's really well shot and well acted, to me gives me kind of hope that we can get out of that sort of like constant Marvel loop.
I like how how you put that, and what this movie did for me. I'll say this at the top right now with that. Um, and it's funny when you can tell. I enjoyed knowing without a shadow of a doubt that not just before I've read it, like I could tell this entire script wasn't ready or wasn't done. And that gives the actors, the artists, a chance to create and be artists. That in itself helps the movie go along because now they're having fun and it translate. Um, Especially in a movie like this. So I thought of this movie from the beginning like a play.
Hmm.
And in a play, everything is broken down into acts. And I don't care what anyone says, by act three, you're bored out of your mind. I don't care how good the plot is, you're bored. So there
Right.
always is like some kind of a climactic, anticlimactic turnover that doesn't really change what's going on, but it wakes you up. Um, this movie didn't force that. And it's weird to say it didn't force that when you watch the movie and you see what that that moment was of waking you up in the third act, but it wasn't forced. It was almost like, no, it had to be somebody.
Hmm.
It had to happen. Something. This was your only out to this scenario. Somebody had to go.
Right.
Um, and from the beginning to the end, I feel like this movie did that, and that's really, I mean, hey, you want to get me watching your movies? Write it well. Do a little bit of homework. That's all I'm asking you to do. You know what? Think to yourself, if I were Shakespeare, how would I not want to fuck this up?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably a lot of good storytelling elements, and I did um pick up a few that
Mhm.
were sort of like following the rules of
Right.
storytelling. Of course,
exactly.
you got the Chekhov's gun. When the
Mhm.
gun is introduced, it's got to be shot in the third act. So that happened. So that attention to detail. Also, the law of three. By the third time he ties his shoe is the thing. Then that's when
That's
the
when it's
thing
all downhill.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I did like that there were definitely attentions to detail, and this is why I think that having these smaller intimate movies can really start to tell some incredible stories, because you really can get so deep into detail when you don't have to worry about giant CGI budgets.
Yeah. I mean, listen, this kind of movie opens, in my opinion, and I'll say it openly because I'm sure I'm not the only one who thinks it. And I know we aren't the only people who know what shift needs to happen in media right now. We need to get back to the mom and pop down home stories,
Hmm.
the movies where the movie may not take place in the family home, but the story begins in the family home, and then it's kind of like a flash to something or something of that nature.
Yeah,
And
bring the
I
cult
think
classic back.
exactly.
Hmm.
And I think we need to get back to that because I have a firm belief in getting back to ground zero when you want to start over. Like you got to burn down everything that's new and get back to the original template to build something new.
Hmm.
Uh, and yeah, that's I agree. That's where we are in movies, specific in film. Um, Everybody needs to stop being the big budget guys. If you
Yeah,
if you can't do it with what's already in your studios and whatnot, and what you already have on board, chances are you're forcing it.
yeah, yeah. And it just disincentivizes, taking risks on smaller projects,
Hmm. Hmm.
But then that is also up to us as people who go see movies and talk about
Agree.
movies and stuff like that, to give credit where credit is due. And I think
Agree.
in this case, in my opinion, there are definitely things that I'm not happy about with this movie, but I think that it was a step in a good direction if this is where movies are going to go.
Definitely. Definitely. And honestly, I do feel like outside of our series picks for 2022 so far, we've definitely been treading that line of those movies that are kind of breaking some of the norms that that have been pigeonholing us as far as the material that's being put out.
Hmm.
Um so yeah, so from there what we move straight into he's roaming around. He's actually ready to leave. He's grabbing everything and he's headed out. And then the CEO and his wife comes home. Now I have to ask you. I know what I would have done, and I'll answer this question as well. What would you have done if you were him? Would you have tried to get out of there faster? Would
Yeah.
you have stayed around?
No, bail,
Um,
man,
yeah,
bail. I don't know why
he
he didn't bail faster. Like, jump out of a fucking window if you
get
have
out of
to.
there. The moment you
Yeah,
heard that door open, you should have been
right.
bolting for that back door
Yeah,
because you don't want to
absolutely.
hurt anybody. And you don't want to do it. Yeah, no, we're on the same page here. Yeah.
And what if they just saw some dude running out of their house? Like,
Ooh.
yeah, just get out. You'd be
Yeah.
fine.
You
Yeah.
got you got what you feel you came for.
Right. Yeah. And so, like, this is, but the story doesn't happen if he doesn't escape, if he escapes, right?
Oh man,
So,
this story doesn't happen if a couple of things happen that
yeah,
were um
avoidable.
super avoidable, but
Yeah.
just things that were addressed in the beginning. So immediately the wife catches them and they both freeze, and I'm just like, all right, listen, I've had this situation happen to me, and it wasn't um a wife and a husband. It was a girl and her mom when we were young. Listen, you don't stand and
No, don't
stare
just just leave already. And what's fucked up is that he was leaving out the front door, but when the husband comes, he's at the back door.
back door. Yeah,
So he decided to stick around instead of just opening the door
hanging
and
out,
running.
hanging out. But yeah, but for the record, no, that actually didn't happen to me. I just thought it was a funny anecdote.
Mm,
But my point was, or my point is like no matter how dire, like it could be a situation like that with a girl and her mother or whatever your situation is. Listen, you're not gonna get killed. It's not the end of the world. Somebody might just think you're crazy because
mhm.
you just bolted out of their home, but outside of that, you're good. Like so, the whole
Yeah.
sticking around thing, I didn't really understand. Um,
I think it's just
And
because she saw his face, and so
he's a
that
stupid
was
criminal.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a very stupid criminal.
Oh,
Yeah.
TV said if you see my face, then I gotta kill you. No.
Right, right. Yeah,
You know how many
exactly.
people look like you in the world?
Yeah. Get a haircut, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine. Gonna get some of that midnight dye number 5 from the 99-cent store.
Mhm,
Dye your
right.
beard, dude. You'll be all
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Yeah.
Jeez. Take that. Look,
Um,
what he said he had 5,000 from the beginning. That's what he had originally taken.
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. He could have definitely got him some dye, bought him a nice dinner. Uh I guess invested in some stocks. I don't know what he was gonna do with 5 grand. He wasn't getting nowhere.
Mm. I did like that we don't really 100% know why he was even there. I know that he says something at the end, but who
Yeah.
knows if that's even real, you know?
Nah, I think by the end everybody is in shock, cabin fever, and et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Yeah.
So but yeah, so he takes them, locks them in the sauna, stupid.
Very dumb.
Like but now okay, so I'll say that actually. Maybe I have to take back a little bit what I said about the not funny or the not joking Siegel. The beginning with the what are we gonna do to try to figure that out? That was the Jason Siegel we're used to.
Mhm.
The kind of bumbling, I don't know what the hell to do. You figure it out. I'm just gonna take credit for it kind of a character.
Right.
That's the guy we're used to. Um, so I can't say that that guy was not in this movie, but that guy was literally 5 minutes of this, 10 minutes of this movie, not the larger portion. But even within that, it's like either stick to it, get them tied down or get them tucked away somewhere, or just walk out.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know. The beginning was a little rough. I'll say that.
It's a lot to justify the circumstance, right? So it's like they had to really, because I understand why they did it because you would ask those questions. Why didn't he just walk out? So they got to tell you why he can't just walk out. And I think that some of it is maybe a little bit of a stretch. Um,
Well,
you
yeah,
know,
because the point isn't him. The point is the husband and the wife in their relationship.
well, like him not seeing the fucking camera when he parked his car, but then seeing it when he was about to leave. I'm like, bro, you've been on the camera. you
Yeah,
you parked your car there. The
it's a
camera saw you.
very conspicuously placed camera. Is not exactly tucked behind the leaves or anything.
No.
I'm sure when he got there, the sun was a little higher in the sky and was hitting it at a different angle. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think that was a billionaire's camera? He was just full of shit.
No,
No.
I think. Okay, now you have to think of he's supposed to be a tech guy, right?
Hmm.
And clearly he's a shithead. So that could have been like a paparazzi camera. That could have been somebody spying on him.
Mm.
He probably, I'm sure he has a security team in general. That could have just been a camera he really didn't know about. I don't assume that he was aware of it. What I do assume is that he would have been able to figure out, like, hey, somebody around here got some way of knowing who this guy is. He's a tech guy,
Hmm.
but I don't believe they were his in that moment. I think it's weird. They wanted to kind of give you this notion that he was just a pathological liar, but I don't think he had the balls to lie about something that could really get him killed. Only things that would piss people off.
Hmm.
Like every time it got really nitty and gritty, he cowered it up. He would cower
Yeah.
it up every time.
Yeah. Well, never mind the fact that a camera was plugged into a tree.
Well, that
Where
part
was
actually isn't.
where was the camera getting power from?
Oh yeah, so peep game. Like they have
Mm.
cameras now that are solar powered, like those little tiny ones. They're
Oh,
solar
okay.
powered, and they actually it's weird because they're not like Wi-Fi. They are like just routed in somehow, like walkie talkies.
Mm.
It's spooky, but yeah, you can go on Amazon and buy those.
All right, fair enough.
And they go in trees. And it's like they actually the way they give you the nails and everything to screw them into a tree and
It's probably like through Bluetooth or something. Huh?
Yeah, that actually okay. I think it is Bluetooth. But yeah, either way, it's I thought about that for a split second when I was watching it as well. I was like, that's not real. Oh wait, I remember I saw that on Amazon. That is pretty real.
Mm, yeah.
But then it's
But
Amazon. That could be like eBay back in the day and be lying to me.
right, right. But yeah, so he has to return back to the house after trying to make a clean break because he was seen on camera. And the billionaire swears that he doesn't know whose cameras it is, and so just kind of digs himself deeper into this trench.
Right.
Now, what one critique I do have is that I didn't really like this angle of the wife. Uh, I think she's, I don't know, because I like the actress, and
Mhm.
I kind of like the character, but I also feel like some of it was a bit cringe. Like,
I feel like
it
they
was
had to
kind of
force the part.
unbelievable. Yeah, it was kind of unbelievable for her to start cozying up to nobody, like, and start to, like,
You mean when they
because
were at like the camp part of the?
well, that and then later she tries to, like, defend him and stuff, and it's like,
Oh yeah.
I
I think
get
she's
that you hate your husband, but you
yeah.
probably wouldn't be doing this.
Right. But yeah, I do think that's really where the pull was or the stretch. I think that's all they were trying to get at is how much she disliked her husband. So any
Mm,
form of camaraderie or someone she can get along with, someone that was likable just for a little bit. Not so much that she would sleep with him, but to where the comfort of having someone who seemed relatable around for even kidnapping
mhm,
was better than what she's been enduring with her husband.
right.
You
Yeah.
know, so much so that him not giving a fuck about um what she felt was important and what she liked at the end is, you know, makes her feel away.
Yeah, it was her rosebud, I guess, right?
Pun intended.
Pun definitely intended. Um,
So I love when he comes back and he gets him back from the orchard, chases down Chubby Boy. I
oh,
thought that was
yeah.
hilarious.
That
Like they're
was pretty
both
funny.
clearly out of shape.
Yeah.
And he looked and he thought about it like, I'm never catching her. I'm going after the fat one.
Right.
Only to find out she done ran in a circle and now she's on the opposite side of you. Like, wait, how did
Mhm.
you ran that way? How did never mind. I got him. I got your gun. Now let's go. But for them to sit there and tell him, he's like, oh, you know, I need what did he say at first? 5,000?
$150,000.
150, yeah,
They just fucking
150,000.
clowned
They just
him.
laughed at him. Like, ugh, that's not enough. That's not you'll never get
Yeah,
anywhere.
right.
Am I
You'll
robbing
go
you
through
or
that
is this
like
a charity?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. You'll go through that in no time. So, okay. Add to zero, 3 million. Ugh, what are you stupid? That's too much.
How
You
can you carry all that? Yeah.
like, well,
Yeah.
what's a good freaking number? You tell me how
I
much I should rob you for now.
I did like that because it does show how, like, unexperienced nobody is and how, like, the wife and the billionaire just kinda like, "Dude, you don't even know what these
What you doing out here?
amounts of money even
Yeah,
look like, do you?"
yeah.
Like, he's just, like, getting frustrated. He's like, "Just tell me the max."
Right. Getting a life lesson on finances.
Yeah.
Like, listen here, bud, and you're gonna have to pay for everything in cash. Ain't gonna be no credits and none of that. So you're gonna need more than that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you right.
Yeah, and he
You're gonna
even
have to pay
says,
some
he's like,
people
"What do you"
off.
he's like, "What do you think? I have a red phone that I can just call and get $3 million?"
That was pretty good. That might have actually been one of my favorite scenes. Is that
I think
whole
that was the best scene for sure.
the
Yeah.
money negotiations.
Mhm.
So they end at 500K, and I don't know. I did think that was interesting. The entire cash drop situation, the way he was able to call and get that, and how the wife noted it a little later, how it was just so easy. Like it's so easy for him to get just those kind of amounts of money. Um, with that, I don't know why that made me also think of some camera work back when he traps them in the sauna, how they
Mm.
shoot through the sauna went
I
door.
like that, yeah.
But of course, you know, with the boom still on the outside of the sauna, so the sound was still crisp.
Mhm.
That was very well done.
Oh, yeah. A lot of symmetry in the shots,
Mhm.
very like very sun saturated shots,
Mhm,
very like high contrast to get like heavy shadows and then
mhm.
really bright spots. Yeah, I
Like,
thought they're really well
mhm.
shot. Yeah.
Yeah, the what do they call that? Blocking when make sure like the way they're angled, the actors themselves towards the camera.
Hmm. Hmm.
That was done perfectly the entire movie.
Yeah,
That was
agreed.
like I can't think of one single moment where I was like, "Yo, why are they standing over here?"
It's a really pretty shot film, to be
Mhm.
honest. And it's kind of weird to say that because it's mostly just a in this house, but the shots that they do create are very pretty.
Definitely, without question. Uh, so during the small talk, oh well, and also he finds out that the wife is on birth control.
Right.
So that takes me to the next thing where they're having a small talk and they're talking about her tattoo she's having removed for her husband, and then we realize he expects her to give up all her hopes and dreams
Mm,
to have his baby, but she on birth control.
yeah. Yeah. I thought they didn't do as great of a job at showing the tension between the husband and wife. I felt like that was kind of a little bit like just, oh, because billionaire is
Inflated
abusive.
sense of ego. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just like, okay, well, I think they could have done a little bit more to make that, I guess, more human.
obvious. Yeah,
I
I
just a
agree.
little bit more human because it just felt like it was like, oh, stereotypic asshole billionaire, not nice to
Mhm.
his wife. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
he's
well,
not nice. He has money. He's had these women on the side that he's had to pay off, and she just puts up with it. It
right.
was very cliche.
Yes, there you go.
How they were
Cliche is a good
building
word.
their relationship.
Hmm.
What I thought was interesting was as cliche as their relationship was, they were not the most cliche of characters.
No, no, not at all. I didn't think that they were cliche characters. I thought, again, the negotiation tape, like scene, is actually really good because you think about it, it's like, yeah, like, like, why would these people? At this point, you're just like, okay, what do we got to do to get this crazy fuck out of our house? You know,
Well, apparently you have to ask your wife to get close to him.
right? Is that what he did?
Yes, that's what he did. Right after that, right? Okay, so right after they have that whole
Oh, yes, he did. He did. Yes,
right, they
you're
get
right.
to the camp thingy thing and he clears it out and he's like, "I need you to get close to him.
Hmm.
And we know nothing about this guy. I need you to get close to him." Real Donald Sterling like.
Yeah.
Um
Just don't. Never mind. I'm not going to make that joke. Never mind. Never mind.
I'm sorry. That
I had
was
to
a
catch myself real quick. Forgot we
that
were
was
doing
definitely
this
off the
live.
backboard alive. I was like, is he gonna catch it? Is he no, all
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That was right.
I forgot that we weren't just chatting with each other. So
Oh, right. Yeah, you're
yeah.
absolutely right. Can't but I will say, um, I appreciated the visible physical disgust. I appreciate it. I appreciate um
From the billionaire.
from the wife.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
From the wife when he brings it up, like you saw her, like she almost was having like this like cozy up to her husband kind of energy, and then as he's saying that, she's like, "Wait, what are you saying to me right now?
Hmm.
Like, did you just call me a $5 whore? Like, okay, that's how you view your wife.
Yeah.
Got it.
Well, he's typical. He's just a typical like non like he's just not a protectorate sort of character. He is just a
Right.
sniveling backstabber.
Oh
You
God,
know.
yeah. Look,
Yeah.
that goes without saying. And I also like how we find out in that little talk she gets up and has with nobody that she knows about all the Debbies. And then you see
Hmm.
that shot of her husband realizing like, oh shit, she knows about all the Debbies.
Hmm.
Like, buddy, how did you think you were getting all this around her?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah. And then from there is the freeloader tirade.
Mhm. Oh, right, right, yeah. Where he says it's so difficult to. What does he say? The freeloader. What does he say? I forget.
I can't remember exactly how he puts it, but I know it's essentially the world owes me for existing mentality
Oh,
is
right.
the trope he's going
Hmm.
on for. And his wife just checks him like, Yeah, I had student loans and stuff. I needed help because it's not like he's only harping on people who are begging for assistance. Like, no, he's talking about anybody who needs help in general. And she's like, yo, I was one of those people. Like, you had to pay my student loans off for me.
Mhm.
So I not only needed help from them, I needed help from you to get them off my back.
And I would have said, "You are a freeloader too."
Right.
I mean, because let's be real. What is she bringing to the table
I mean, she has a very amazing resume as of now. Um,
as of
and here's
now?
it, well, because that's the reality. It's like, okay, yeah, you worked in the nonprofits and stuff before you were in school, so that's before you met him. Fine. So your resume states that you are valid enough to have these jobs, but you know you wouldn't have them if you weren't married to a billionaire.
Mhm.
That's all he was saying to her, and she didn't really like that. And I don't blame her for not liking that. I mean, nobody likes to be called out on where they really got their start at. I've noticed that in so many circles, nobody likes to hear, "Hey, listen, this is how you really got your start." No, no, no. I know you don't want to hear it, but this is how it happened.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that also is a source of contention for her and her husband because I'm sure he dangles that shit over her head just based on the way that their interactions were. I'm sure if we were to get a movie of husband and wife, excluding nobody in a different home, that would be one of the moments that they go in on is how he took care of her and made sure that she didn't have these obstacles in front of her versus everybody who did have them.
Yeah.
So I'm sure those are the kind of things that are being alluded to that created the tension between them in the past, and now that you have someone else kind of there to poke the bear or kind of pull back the layers, it just looks way crazier.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a tension between the husband and the wife, and the freeloader thing, I guess, was all well and good. I think it was a little bit sort of like you got to keep adding a brick to that tension, and so that was
Mhm.
a conversation that could facilitate another brick for that tension.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
so it maybe have felt a tad bit contrived on my end, but like it's convincing enough. I would have if I were the writers, I would have had him call her a freeloader too, because
Yeah.
there's no reason that he wouldn't say that to her, you
If
know?
he's the person that they're building him to be, I fully
Right.
agree. I
Yeah.
fully agree. I didn't understand why he hesitated when she goes, "Well, am I a freeloader?" I promise you, I was sitting in here like, yeah.
Mhm. I pay for everything.
I mean, that's what anybody
Right.
else in his situation, if we're following the rubric for this particular stereotype, that would have been the next step. But that's
Mhm.
also where we saw him kind of become very like from that point forward, he's very docile. And she definitely has on the pants for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And that felt a little bit. I mean, in one way, I felt like that was sort of earned, but I also just felt like, I don't know. The perfect way I could sum up the female character is something that nobody already did as soon or at the very end. Was
Mm.
I mean, when the last thing he said to her was like, "All right, yeah, that was icy. I like that. I
Mhm.
like that." Because he wasn't trying to take her shit. He knew that because she was trying to finesse him. She had
Easily.
been trying to finesse him
She was
for
looking for her way
yeah.
out.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
fully agree. I fully agree. I think you when you listen to the story she tells about how they ended up getting married and the decision she had to make of taking that first step and how she knew what the next 30 to 40 years of her life would be like. It's like, dude, she has an exit. She has an exit date.
Yeah. I like that they don't mention that, oh, yeah, the 30, 40 years that I already have mapped out for my life is going to include trips to Ibiza. It's going to include houses like this one in Ojai where, I get to come for vacation. It's going to be trips all around the world. It's going to
You
be
get what I'm
doing the most extravagant things in the world. And it's like, I have the rest of my life mapped out for me. Boo hoo. I'm like, what?
saying?
Come on.
And I
Like,
like how he does
seriously?
that. He cuts her out like, I'm not gonna sit here and let you act like you're some kind of a victim.
Yeah, good for
I'm
him
not
for
gonna do
saying
that.
that, because that's like, yeah, dude, you're lamenting a basically a roadmap to the best things life has to offer. Like,
Mm.
and you're sad that you have an itinerary.
Yeah.
That's all.
I mean, I thought I'd have all this accomplishment and have nothing to do but spend the money.
Right, right.
It's like every day I come home and my wife asks me the same question every night. Where's the monies?
Where's the monies? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, classic. Um, then we get into the gardener. Man, go ahead. I'll let you carry this one.
Yeah, that's kind of when everything sort of fell apart, right? It's like everything needed to come to a crescendo, and
Don't be this husband.
what's that?
I said, we don't want to be this husband.
Oh, right. Yeah. Everything kind of crescendoed into this like thing because I guess without the gardener, the story would have just sort of resolved.
Agreed.
And
Yeah.
so the gardener needed to be that last like spur of the moment thing where everything just falls to shit. And I think they did that pretty well. I think it's a little bit much to assume that a gardener is going to continuously knock on your door and
Yeah.
try to talk to you, like especially if you're a billionaire. Like
Bruh.
I don't think I really just don't think that the gardener would be like, oh, he's home, let me go have a chat with the billionaire.
Listen, I'll say this. I know that in most corporate settings, you have gardeners, and the gardener usually has like a foreman or like a groundskeeper
Hmm.
that they go through. And then that person still don't get to talk to the owner. That person has another person, like an assistant or somebody that they talk to.
Right.
So I fully agree. I'm not
Yeah.
understanding how that's happening either.
Yeah, and all to just show like
He
his
took his head off.
rocks.
Yeah, look, he his rocks. And that's you're right. That's how a billionaire would see it though. Um, I mean, hey, he took off his hat to show some humility and respect. So I mean, you gotta take that into account.
I think also though maybe I mean I might have to watch it again because maybe the gardener picks up on something. And that's why he becomes really pushy because he leaves them alone the first time when he sees the dude at the door. And then it's only after seeing nobody that he, like, kind of pushes the, oh no, come here, come here. I want to show you this. I want to show you this. It'll just take a minute. It'll just take a minute. I was like, that is kind of weird that he just keeps doing that.
Yeah,
Like,
they were super insistent. Now I thought that at first too, but then I thought honestly, it's the situation we were thinking about. He doesn't get to interact with him ever.
right.
The fact that he's the only one on grounds with him at this point in time, like who's gonna stop him?
Hmm.
Um, and he could be the owner of the company as well. So, well, he said he wasn't. He said he talked to the gardener, no, the landscaper, and they kind of blew him off.
Hmm.
Um, but essentially, I wanted to think that as well. It wasn't until the whole writing of the note and his reaction to the writing of the note, like, oh no, he didn't know shit. Like he had no clue what was going on. Uh,
I think that was a ploy too though, man. Like I need to watch this again because
hmm,
what he had him sign off on was the picture.
yes,
That's not any official
it's not a contract.
documentation, no
I agree.
contracts. Like,
I
so
agree.
I don't understand why you would have him sign off onto a picture unless he kind of suspected that something might be wrong. Give the
I mean,
guy the
I would.
opportunity to write something.
Right. I would assume that if that's what you're doing, then you wouldn't read it right there in the middle of the yard or the estate where the guy that's supposed to be the bad man can see you still.
A couple more minutes of establishing that dynamic, and that would have been a really cool cat and mouse moment.
Hmm.
Where it's like the gardener, you think the gardener might be picking up on something, and then nobody's character has to try to find a way to like, to get
Find
them
out if he knows or not.
because nobody's character was so blatant about it by that time. It was like, no, we need to go back in the house right now. It's like,
Yeah.
bro, what are you doing? You're
What are you doing,
blowing it.
cousin? Look, what are you doing, cousin?
Right, you're blowing it, man. Um, so I'm wondering if the way that he handled the gardener, that nobody handled the gardener, was indication enough for the gardener to catch on to something that was wrong.
Plausible. It's very plausible.
Yeah.
But after he does get the note and then he is pulled inside and now he is involved in the kidnapping, we have a time lapse of about 5 hours.
Hmm.
And I get it, but no, you know what? No, I get it and I like it because that honestly, that 5 hours was about 30 minutes in film time that
Yeah.
they saved us. That's what stopped this from being a 2 hour movie.
Pretty much, yeah. I don't think that there was any more because basically by the time you got the gardener in the situation, it's got to hit a climax. Like
Hmm.
you got to end this thing now because you just brought in a new party, and so it's either he's going to just keep on kidnapping everybody that comes to the house.
Man, it's gonna become a new game of Clue in this joint.
Yeah, yeah. Don't let the pool cleaner come the next day. He's gonna
Oh
be
God. Look, pool cleaner coming now. The wife's turning all red. What's going
Right.
on with you? Babysitter come by. They ain't got no kids.
Mhm.
Something going on. um. So the 5 hours elapse, and then you have the husband, the CEO, and he just cracks.
Mhm.
Like he breaks. Um. Again, I have to ask the question: did that make sense to you? Like,
I
why are
th
we acting like this guy's a threat? Like, bro, what are you doing?
I think that it kinda does, because he does make a good point. He's like, "Basically, I spent the last 24 hours teaching you how to rob me."
Hmm.
Like, and so I think he is kind of at the point where it's like, "Yeah, what the fuck am I doing?" Like, this guy is not, this guy is not serious. I think he did kind of go a little bit overboard, but I think it's predictable. It's not like he tried to go wrestle him or anything or fight
True,
him. He was just
true.
like, "I'm gonna walk out this door," and I guess he was just trying to push him and
Hmm.
see if he would really be about that. And
I thought he was gonna pistol whip him, not shoot the wall.
right, that
But
probably would have been a better idea, to be honest.
right, but sticking to classic film tropes
It's
and
got to be fired.
got to get it done. Now, I also thought if he was gonna shoot it, he would have shot somebody, shoot him in the
Yeah,
foot, shoot him in the leg, something of that nature. But
I kind of
what
like that because he didn't just shoot somebody; something else happened.
something else happened, correct?
Right.
So I like the what would we call that? Like the horse in a stampede, or like
Mm-hmm.
kind of a
He
situation.
bolted.
Yeah, loud noise happened. The gardener gets up and he takes off running. And he trips over the mini coffee table and his head goes through the pane glass in the
Oh.
door, and the glass goes straight into his neck, and you hear the gurgle.
Mhm.
And that was awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty, and that reminded me a lot of the sort of the Paul Thomas Anderson "There Will Be Blood," where it's very, very slow, and then all of a sudden it just gets very violent.
Mhm.
That's definitely reminded me of that a lot, and,
Nice.
like, he literally picked himself up out off
Out of
of the glass. Like,
Man, that was awesome. That was just like, dude. But he is for sure dead.
very dead. Yeah.
He is dead. And the thief, nobody goes and he's trying to save his life. He didn't know what to do or how he's doing. He's begging them to help him, and it's a wrap.
Mhm.
But now you have the wife and the husband, or the wife so much begging him not to cross this line, like you're not a murderer, which
Yeah.
makes me think, how you know what a murderer is? How you know what a murderer is capable of? What do you know? Like, I understand you work in hospitals and stuff, lady, but do tell.
Right. Well,
Do tell. So
might have
that
been a little bit of foreshadowing, right?
I definitely see that now that we have completed the film.
Mm.
But I did not see that in the moment.
No,
I
me
did not see
neither.
that in the
Yeah.
moment. In the moment, I was like, why is she the one who keeps speaking up about what a murderer is and is not?
Mhm.
Um, and the extreme level of value that the CEO had for herself just lent to a level of naivety that, I mean, hey, you get what you ask for. You treat somebody away for so long. Uh, so yeah, so after she's asking him not to cross the line, and the money arrives,
Mhm.
I thought she was gonna break out.
Yeah, she has that split moment, right, where the car passes by her, and she
She could have
decides
picked
not
up the
to.
money and been out.
She could have, yeah.
Take this half a milli. But hey, if she takes half a million, yeah.
She don't get she doesn't get the other. She doesn't get the bigger half.
Hey, listen, prenup is 50%, insurance
Right,
is 100%. So,
right, right.
so she comes back, gives the money to the nobody. The husband is just delusional at this point. Everything he says just
Yeah.
sounds nutsy.
He's off the rocker.
Right. And I don't know, is he starved or just tired?
I just think he's feeling a little emasculated. His wife is pissed at him. Like this whole thing is this guy's fault. And is this guy who thinks he's like being a hero by robbing him. Like, I like that nobody isn't a good guy. He's not a good
Yeah, he's
guy.
not a good
Like,
guy. Not at all.
It's just that
Right,
the
trying to
billionaire is also not a good guy.
mhm.
So
Well, it's one thing to be not a good guy, and it's a different thing to be a bad person.
right, right.
Like the nobody, he's just not a good guy. There's nothing good about him, but there's nothing necessarily bad about him. He's willing to do bad shit.
Mhm.
Um, whereas the CEO don't care about other people. He has
Right.
no humility. He has no what's the word I'm looking for? Empathy.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
no empathy.
for sure.
Um, so yeah, his delusional self is sitting in the corner, but then the wife shares as nobody is walking out of the door that her tattoo was a rose, and she really liked it. I didn't understand why. To me, that was her losing her mind a little bit. Like,
Yeah. It was
hey,
her actually, like, being vulnerable to him, and that's why I love the response. It was so icy, dude.
yeah, no, she had the right response.
No, no, he had
Oh,
the
his
right
response.
response. His
I agree.
response
He
was
also had the right response, but I think
yeah.
she had the right response to his response.
Right, right.
You know,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, his response was dead on. It was again. This movie had a few of these moments where I was like, "Ah, yes, that just hit me in a special place." Like that's what was supposed to happen. I'm
Right.
so tired of that not happening that I was glad
Yeah,
it happened this time. And
that's
it
right.
was her sharing how much she liked her tattoo, and it was a rose, and he's like, "I don't give a fuck."
No, he's just literally stone cold because you said it way too nice. He just
But
looked at her and was like, "I don't give a fuck," and
you're
just
right.
walked
Yes,
away.
that was more accurate. You're absolutely
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just walks out, and then as he's about to walk out, actually, he decides to now go and tell the CEO about himself and what he was right about, what he was wrong about, and I didn't understand that.
Yeah, it's like when the Bond villain has to explain why they're gonna take over the world every time.
Then they don't watch James Bond die. Like, at least watch him die if you're gonna do all of
Right.
that. Be
Right.
talking to him as he's being lowered into the pit of sharks with laser beams on the top. Oh, that was Austin Powers, but
Same idea.
same concept. Yeah.
Mhm.
So he tells her he doesn't give a fuck. And ironically, as he goes to talk smack to the CEO, she finds a piece of glass right under her feet and begins to cut the what was that? Telephone
Mm,
wire?
yeah, like a HDMI cable or something.
It definitely wasn't an HDMI. You're not cutting an HDMI with that little ass piece of glass.
That's fair, that's fair.
Um, let's just say it was a power cable to something.
Mhm.
Is DC 10. So yeah, she cuts herself free, and now nobody is on his way back out of the door after talking a little bit of shit. And
Mhm.
she smacks him with, was that a trophy or just a statue? Rich people have
Just
some of the most
statue.
extravagant stuff.
Mhm.
But
It
it
was like,
almost looks like brain matter. The statue
yeah,
itself almost looks
yeah.
like brain matter. She smashes his head with it, and now there's actual brain matter on it.
It was one
Uh,
of the first things you see inside the house too.
yeah, from the
It's the,
beginning.
like, one of the shots they linger on, so,
Mhm.
yeah.
Um, then she takes his gun. Her husband is cheering her on for killing him, killing nobody, but she got something for him, buddy. Gonna collect in on that insurance. No need for this prenup. She puts 3 in his chest, and that's
Mm,
the end of him. And then she goes into what I don't understand. Now I understand as far as when people show up putting on this face, but why did she put on battered woman face on her way out the door?
oh, yeah, I don't know, I thought she was gonna shoot herself, to be
I thought
honest.
so too. That's why I'm
Yeah,
asking.
yeah. I think it's just to get herself ready to talk to the cops maybe, but, she wipes the prints from the gun, puts it
And then
into his
pulls
hands,
off
but
the
then
top of it.
exactly, I was about to
The
say, she's
slider instead of
literally
the trigger.
holding the slide with her fingers.
Jeez, lady.
I know. It's like, you did not think that through. Um,
I mean, well, in that notion, she could say she struggled with him.
maybe, maybe, but hope that they don't take any sort of, swab from her hand to check for cordite.
Oh, I wasn't the only one that thought about the gunpowder residue.
Yeah, come on now. I think that's like the
Very,
first thing they do when something like this happens. It's
very
like,
first
"We
thing.
gotta check your hand because you're the only one alive now," and
Right. And if you tell the story, lady, very
right.
clearly, it's going to be a traumatic situation. I don't think you're getting all those billions.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Don't think you're getting all those billions. Now, what she should have done is she should have coaxed. nobody into killing her husband and then kill nobody.
That would have been good. Yeah, I agree.
But that easily would have caused for another 15 minutes of movie as well.
Yeah, yeah, because she would have had to like work on both of them
Seduce him.
psychologically.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, just like totally mind fuck both of them into like going at each other, you know?
Hmm. She would have had to
Yeah.
come out of the cabin wrapped in just the blanket and not her clothes and the blanket. Would have had to been a couple of changes for real.
Now, I don't think the sexual angle would have worked on nobody. I think she would have had to like, I don't know, goad him or make him angry or something like that.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Because
because
I didn't think it
he
was gonna
wasn't
work.
a
She went out there anyway, so
yeah,
like,
he was not about her trying to seduce him. He
mhm.
knew
I
about
think
that
he might
shit.
have actually shot her if she had tried.
Yeah, maybe, maybe.
He would have shot.
But that's the end of the movie. It ends with a
Yes,
nice wide shot of her in the doorway or outside the doorway.
medium
Net,
wide.
another nice shot for sure.
Mhm. Did you catch the Easter egg?
Which one?
There was no Easter egg. I'm just being funny.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, well, which Easter egg? It is Easter, so I guess
It
that would
is.
have been.
It is.
Mhm.
Um,
I
but
think
yeah,
that's it.
yeah, that's it. I actually don't even have any. Usually, I have like a little list on the side of my notes, like, oh, things to bring up at the end. I liked this movie. It was very clean cut.
Mhm.
You understood what it was going to be from the beginning, idealistically, and by the end of it, you were satisfied.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I think the end was a little bit like what the fuck, but
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
still satisfactory.
you had the idea that somebody was going to die at least,
Mhm.
So it's not like it was a surprise that people died.
You know what the ending is for me? The ending is when you go to get like a dessert and you get to the end of that dessert, that last bite wasn't the same as the first bite,
Mhm.
but you still ate it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it
for
felt like to
sure.
me.
For sure. All right, well, let's get to our ratings.
Yes,
Galen.
indeed. I'm gonna give this movie. I just bit my tongue.
Ah, that's the
So
worst.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I get to talk like Count Dracula for the rest of the episode. Um, I'm gonna give this movie an itchy upper lip. Hmm. I think I'm gonna give this a 7.5. Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 7.5. I want to give
Mhm.
it more. I want to give it more. Um, I'm not sure what I would need to give it more because I don't know what it's missing. I don't really think it's missing anything, but it's actually more like an 8.59 movie. But I really
Mhm.
wanted to get a little more critical with my ratings. Um, I'm gonna give it a solid 8, just because I'm just starting this whole critical thing, and I feel like it's gonna lose ratings just based on that because I really did enjoy this.
Mhm. Cool. Yeah, no, I think I'm right there with you, man. I think 8 is good. I think if I wanted to be charitable, it'd be an 8.5, but I could never go over that just because certain elements of the story weren't as excellent as the rest of the movie. So
Mhm.
the music is excellent. I think the acting was fine. There wasn't any. I didn't have any complaints about any of the acting.
Okay.
But I think that some of the story elements were just a tad bit weak. And so for that, I don't think it's going to rank too high up. But I think a solid 8. It's a good movie to watch. I think that anybody who wants to take a breather from all of the franchises
Mhm.
would really enjoy this type of movie, especially if you're into like actual storytelling stuff. And this is very much a play. It's a one room sort of movie type thing. So you really get to kind of take in the ambiance of the movie, and I think they did that really well. Like the oranges being very so like quintessential to California, and like the very sort of
Mountains in the
um,
back.
yeah, it was in Ojai, which is I don't know exactly know where that is, but it looked very Palm Springs to me. Um, it's like high desert-ish sort
Mhm.
of. But yeah, I mean, I think the solid 8 for this flick. I enjoyed it. I think I'd watch it again. Um, yeah, enjoyable, beautifully shot, and
Yeah.
I think pretty well directed. It's a tight movie. It doesn't have a whole lot of excess. There was a moment or two where I felt it drag, but it wasn't that bad.
Right.
So,
I also think it was a great movie to find out that it was a maximum 20-person crew.
oh yeah, nice.
It's amazing.
That's really well done. Yeah,
Mhm.
20 people. That's yeah, well done. Kudos. And I really do hope that, pardon me, I really do hope that we start to get more movies like this, because this would really bring, I think, the cinema back and movies back. We've the franchise fatigue is starting to,
Oh, it's
you know,
big, big there. At this
yeah,
point, we're not just fatigued. People only watch franchise stuff because there's nothing else out there.
that's right.
And I just want to lend some clarity for those who don't understand why we mentioned why I mentioned the 20 crew thing. Um, 20 people on the crew is a photo shoot.
Yeah, yeah,
So to
yeah,
shoot hour and a
yeah.
half or what, so a 90-minute movie, a feature length film, basically.
Commercials have more, more
Yeah,
than,
commercials have
yeah,
more people on set. Oh my God,
yeah,
commercials have way more people on set than 20. It's like 200 sometimes. It's ridiculous.
yeah.
And you ask yourself, what are all of these people here for? That's another conversation.
Gotta love those union jobs, man.
Right. But yeah, no, so definitely 20 people, that's just
That's
amazing. And
impressive.
with you saying
Yeah.
that, it does make me question, um, because of COVID, how many of those union rules changed during COVID.
Yeah. Well, I think that like, this was an experiment to see how efficient you can make a movie. And I think that the whole thing was from having such a small cast to having such a small crew to having
Mhm.
probably a small budget. I couldn't find the budget of this, but I'm willing to bet that this is like 10 million, maybe.
I don't know. I
I
don't know.
don't
I know
know.
I had it up here, but I can't.
Oh, it showed the budget?
No, it didn't. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Everything
okay.
I looked up, nothing showed the budget.
Yeah. Netflix is
Netflix is
sneaky
getting
about it.
really good at that. Yeah, they're
Yeah, they're
getting really
sneaky.
good at hiding their budgets, and I'm not
Yeah.
really mad at them for that.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely recommend this flick. I think it's a solid 8. I think, you're gonna have a good time. I think Jason Segel was pretty decent. It's
Oh
nice
yeah,
to see him in stuff that isn't How I Met Your Mother or Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
or something that makes you giggle.
Yeah. So yeah, man. Anything else before we wrap up?
I absolutely enjoyed this movie. Yeah, I'm watching this one again. That's all I really have.
Yeah, I think I will too. I'd like to study some of the camera shots and some of
Mhm.
the camera motions, because there were definitely they did a very good job at telling the story. So,
Right. And also
yeah,
finding out that this is only the third film by the director. I'm probably going to watch his other two films as well.
and not a bad junior debut, really, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
All right, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. Let us know what you thought about Windfall. Have you seen it yet? If you haven't, go check it out. We both recommend it. It gets our stamp of approval, which is increasingly more and more difficult to get these days. So, hopefully, we'll see a lot more movies like this where we can sort of gush and talk about the things that we do love about cinema and movies, because that's what brings us to you. We really enjoy movies and we really enjoy talking about them. So it's always a pleasure when we have something good to say about movies. And so, it's not every time. We might be critical, but we're going to be honest with you. So thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. We very much appreciate it. We're here every Sunday and Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. for you. Next Wednesday, coming up this Wednesday, I should say, we're going to be doing Moon Knight episode 4. And then next Sunday, we're doing the Batman. So we already got the schedule set for you guys. So stay tuned for those episodes Wednesday and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. We're also a part of a podcast collective. You can find our podcasts on Thinkering Talks on Facebook. That's what it is. I have a podcast there. It's called Exofathom. It's on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Please go check that out if you're interested. Our last episode was on the end of the world, and tomorrow night's episode is going to be on intuition. So just a little bit of flavor about what you might be able to expect from us over at Exofathom on Facebook and on YouTube and on Odyssey and Rumble as well at Exofathom. Keelan has a podcast. It's called If Numbers Could Talk. It's Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Please go check him out. He's on Facebook. He's on Spotify. He's on YouTube. Where else you got it? You have your Anchor FM is pushing you out as well, right?
Correct. Which that
Yeah.
gets me out to a few other casting sites that I haven't even heard of.
Sweet.
I have to learn about them.
Perfect. Well, check him out. If Numbers Could Talk, he's always streaming Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. So check him out. Give him a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe so you can catch his next episode. Let's see. Dijon the Mustard, friend of the podcast and co-host of this one, also has a Twitch channel. It's called Strawberries and Coffee, and you can go to catch him doing streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 p.m. Strawberries and Coffee. And he also has a YouTube page that you can check out all the back catalog at Strawberries and Coffee. Keelan just did another podcast. He's got something coming out with his lovely wife, and they are doing This Married Moment. It's on Saturdays, right?
Yes, indeed.
You want to give us give us the updates for that?
So This Married Moment is currently on YouTube. We have an Instagram page that we're trying to get going. We are also on Facebook and Twitter. We'll be going live on there and dropping our videos there. Also, you can catch us on Spotify, and we'll be getting to a lot of your audio platforms through there. We're not currently visual. We're not doing any video. So we'll definitely be trying to hit you on all of your audio platforms. And just tune in. We'll just pretty much just be talking, answering questions, and give you some insight and opinions from our side of the town.
Sweet. Yeah, you can check them out again at This Married Moment, and they're on Saturday mornings usually, right?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Saturday afternoons, in fact.
Okay, Saturday afternoon. Sweet. But yeah, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you out there. Thank you for sticking with us here at Screen Time Continuum. We hope that you have a wonderful evening. For Screen Time Continuum, I am Nick.
And I'm Keelan. Thanks a lot, guys. You know, somebody asked me about Morbius, and all I could do was laugh.
I could just say, you don't need our review. Just say 0.